Hello. Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Yes, it is I. I'm back. Uh, um, everyone well rested? You guys getting? I know you just start the day quite early today, but everyone's feeling good. It's been an inspirational day. Yes? Excellent, excellent. It's really great to be a part of this. I mean, anytime you celebrate Nelson Mandela, especially as a young South African, I have to remember, I actually remember when 1994, when the ANC won the elections. I was very excited. The mood was great, but I was very young, so to me it was the same excitement as like winning a football match. It was my parents' team won that day. That's what it felt like. But it's when I come and I stand before you guys and I get these opportunities that I really, truly am able to take in the efforts of Nelson Mandela and all those who stood beside him. And wasn't that amazing? Can we please give a round of applause to Mojan, Adesola, and Maps Maponyane? 3 amazing performers. But the reason I'm back here is to talk to one of my heroes, Her Excellency Graça Machel. To whom I will be referring from now on as Mama, because as an African I cannot refer to her in her first name. She was the Mozambican First Minister for Education at the age of 29. And she is an SDG advocate and a real champion for young people through the Graça Machel Trust. Of course, she was also married to a nice guy, Nelson Mandela. I'm now going to ask her a few questions that are on top of my mind. Can we please have Her Excellency here?
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
You want me to sit there?
Yes, please. Now, Utata Madiba was, he talked about how, I was tempted to do his voice, but I won't. The quote was, I'm not a messiah, but an ordinary man who had become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. What is it that stopped him giving up? What do you think it is that thing that kept him a goalkeeper? And what would you say is that thing that the youth now can use in their endeavors?
I would say it was principled conviction. Madiba was always very convinced of what he wanted to achieve. And it was always based in principle. It was not emotional, it was not temporary, it was something he was prepared to go to the end to achieve. And that's why he belongs to that generation of South Africans who said, freedom in our lifetime. And they delivered freedom in their lifetime. What does it require? Clarity and what they were fighting for. It required discipline to keep focused. It required perseverance. It required something which I believe it's extremely important, that for them and for him personally, it has never been about him. It was always about his people. And because of that, whatever could be the circumstances, he will keep focused and will not deviate from that. And Madiba was also a very humble person. Those who managed to be close to him will recognize that he was not full of himself. He was really, when he says he's an ordinary person. And his journey has been ordinary. Those who elevated him to the status of being a hero, being icon, it's us, the people. But whenever you will be close to him, you will shake hands with a human being. He will smile to you as a human being. He was never what we decided to bestow upon him because we needed, a huge reference to look up to. But him, in his way of saying, he would say, I'm a country boy. And he was in some ways.
Yes.
He kept his life as simple as the young man who grew up in Kunu.
So I guess what I can take from that is a really strong sense of purpose, that built-in principle.
Built-in principle. That's very important.
And right now, as millennials, this is quite a young forum that we have here, luckily, with us. But our generation, the millennials, have been criticized as being entitled. And I think seeing what the people have been doing now, I think it's a bit of an unfair blanketing statement. But what do you think maybe we're lacking in terms of making whatever we're doing bigger? How do we escalate the issues as young people, especially as Africans? How do we get from small projects to really making global change?
I don't subscribe to the idea that young people are entitled, this sense of entitlement. I think freedom allows, it's for that, our generation, for young people to feel this, it's daytime,
yes.
It's day space, it's day life, so it's fine. But what you are asking is what it will take to make the big transformation of society.
Yes, especially after we saw today with Bill's presentation of the future of Africa, which can seem quite dismal. So we can, as Africans, you and I, we can go, our efforts need to double up. This next 12 years is more important than ever. How do we as Africans make sure that the next 12 years is global?
I think if we had to learn from the generation of Madiba is perhaps I would give the quote of saying, if we take the 17 goals, there is apartheid still in each one of them to achieve. So young people, in your own time, with your own challenges, take it. It's hunger. How many millions who are still hungry? How many millions are still with lack of education, lack of what? Any one of the goals, it is still a kind of apartheid between those who have access and opportunity and those who do not have. So to young people, I would say, choose your own focus. If you want to focus in education, you simply have to do it right in a perseverant way, because then, you have the 600 million we were told here this morning to bring into the system, for instance, So your question is, how do they do it? If you want to learn from the lessons of the past, is that you need to build movements. For apartheid in South Africa, it was a movement, broad movement, which was within South Africa itself to build on the millions of people. But across the globe, there's no one single country in this globe which did not have cells of supporting the fight against apartheid. So perhaps that's what you have to do. In every single country, get those young people who are going to focus, on we overcome hunger, and to say we have to eliminate hunger in our lifetime. And others will say we need to make sure that everyone on this globe, girls and boys, they are going to have education. We are going to focus on health. In every single one of these goals we are talking about, just choose where you want to put your mind and your heart and your energy aligned, and then build a movement. Because you are not going to do it in small groups only. It has to be a broad kind of coalitions, because then that's when the transformation is going to happen. And this is the lessons, I think, from how it seemed impossible actually to bring down apartheid, right? How did they manage to do it? It was precisely because they built those movements. And this is what I would say to young people, particularly from Africa and Asia, because these are the two continents where we are still hugely challenged, build those movements. You can be brilliant in your organization. You can be effective, to cover 500 people, 1,000 people, but what you need is to build the energy of all those people at grassroots and to make them own the fight against all these little apartheids which are somewhere there. That's one. The other thing which I believe you have a huge opportunity, it was clearly, discussed this morning, is that you have opportunities which are much bigger than those days. And you can actually build those movements using technology. You can communicate in a question of seconds. You reach out to millions of people. You have to use that. So you don't need the long time which that generation had to go through. And your time also, in framework, it's very clear.
Yes.
You have 12 years. And these 12 years, you are brilliant, you can strategize, you have the means which are available, you can do it. And importantly, I go back, you have to be convinced that you can do it, and you will.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, we have less than 12 minutes left. At this point, I'd like to invite an audience member to ask Mama a question, because I could jabber on with her all day. Anyone with a question for Mama Graça? The gentleman in the front here. Do you have a mic for him? Thank you. I feel like Oprah.
So, thank you for your inspiring words. What I wanted to ask was, given just the iconic nature of Mandela and the complexity of the man, there's something very connecting about the way that you were talking about him as an ordinary person. And if you were so willing, I'd love to just hear maybe a couple additional thoughts of things that we might not already know about him, but that you might be willing to share to sort of better connect us with the mission and your mission as well.
Melinda put this issue quite rightly this morning to say, at the age of his 20s, Mandela, like you, he did not dream or even to think of himself becoming the kind of icon we are talking about. He was an ordinary young man who simply, like you, embraced one cause. And this room is full of young people who have made the choices already about their causes. So connect with them in that sense. What I suggest exactly is that ordinary men and women, when they have that big commitment to a certain purpose, the Mandelas, the Albertina Sisulus, the Wangaris, I'm talking of those I know better in my part of the world, but I could be talking of others. They are inside each one of you. All those we claim to be heroes today, they grew exactly like you. In other terms, I want to say, the heroes of these next 100 years now, those who are going to make history of overcoming poverty, illiteracy, disease, etc., are in this room, and they are in many other places where young people are embracing this. And make no mistake, you are exactly like what they started when they started, and it's up to you, but you have to be clear again to connect with you. You don't have to leave this room and think, I'm great, I'm going to make it. No, you are convinced, but have the humility, because that is also one thing. The humility of engaging other people, making sure that the movement grows and grows and grows, because you can communicate from the level where anyone can feel connected with you. So I think also, as we praise you as the goalkeepers, but I also want to suggest that be humble and allow the communities you serve to be the one who elevates you. As I said, But he didn't elevate himself. He was elevated by people. People will elevate you, recognizing what you do, what you achieve, and how you respond to the deepest aspirations. Then they will say, Nadia, the young lady who was with us here last night, these are the women who are going to make history from this generation.
Thank you. While we're talking about young people who overcome great odds, I noticed a South African there in the front, someone who makes me feel very lazy. Eddie Ndopu, my friend, you are apparently going to space while I'm struggling to get a visa to London.
That's right, Loiso. I am joining forces with the United Nations on a groundbreaking campaign to address the UN General Assembly from the edge of the planet as the first wheelchair user in space. And I'm doing this because I think about the words of Madiba when he said, it always seems impossible until it's done. And I want to put the words disability and possibility in the same sentence. And I'm doing so. I'm doing so because, like many disabled people across the planet, I am a living manifestation of possibility. I was diagnosed at the age of 2 with spinal muscular atrophy, and doctors predicted that I wouldn't live beyond the age of 5, and I'll be celebrating my 28th birthday in a few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
I hear you know Mama too.
yes,
question for her?
and it feels like a full circle moment because this time last year we met and a lot of progress has happened on my campaign. But I'd like to ask you, Mom, in the spirit of achieving the impossible, what is the one dream that you have, the seemingly impossible dream that you would like to make possible?
That's a big one.
Well, we only have 3 minutes, so another question.
Another question. But you asked me also to support another campaign which you didn't talk about. You know, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights doesn't make explicitly, the rights of people living with disability. And Eddie spoke to me and said, Mom, I want you to help with this. And I am working on this, actually, because I happen to be part of a group which is looking very deeply, actually, to 70 years back, but 70 years from now, what it is which the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has to integrate, which were not very clear as challenges of human family those days. So we're working on that. Even in the going to space, you know what I tried to do, and we are almost there. And for me, you are really one of most inspiring young men I have met, young people I have met. And one day you asked me, why don't you give up? Do you ever think of giving up? I said, with people like you, how can I have the luxury of giving up? How can I have the luxury?
This is all very, very inspiring. I mean, the people we're surrounded by today, and I see today we have Kweku Madiba here today, Mandela today, and good friend of Nelson's, Miss Naomi Campbell, so we're all in good company. Today would have been his 100th birthday this year.
It's this year, and we are still having lots of activities to celebrate him, and I want to thank Bill and Melinda for creating this space specifically to celebrate him. But as I would like to leave, it's, celebrating is to get inspiration, is to emulate. And I'm sure each one of you, if you say, I celebrate the life of Nelson Mandela, you'll choose your own way of living Mandela inside you and transforming your own purposes into a reality as he managed to do. That's the celebration. It's in each one of us.
Thank you, Mama. Thank
Yeah.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.